What's going on, people, and welcome back. I know it's been a very long time since I last recorded a YouTube video. I have no real excuse for why I haven't uploaded. It's just came down to being busy, super busy with client work, and I guess I just haven't made YouTube a priority, but there's a lot I want to show you guys. And starting from today, we're starting with a really simple technique on Photoshop that if you don't already know about, it's going to be an absolute game changer. So all it takes is some simple images that you want to use and put together in a showcase format, and that's about it. So let's jump into Photoshop. I'll show you exactly what you need to do, and it'll probably take you between 5 to 10 minutes to run through this tutorial, and then from there you should know exactly what you need to be doing to create animated GIFs.
Right, now that we're in Photoshop, you're going to need to do one of two things before we can jump into the GIF settings and how to get the GIF animation set up. The first thing you're going to need to do is make sure that you've got your canvas set up. You can do that simply by going to File, New, and then setting up a new canvas. I've set mine up as 1920 by 1080 just so, I can post it to Twitter and Facebook and it'll show up great. But you can set it up at whatever size you want. There's real no requirement when it comes to that. The only thing that I would say is if you're not sure on what sizing to use, simply do a Google search on what the best practices are for different platforms. Like I say, for example, for Twitter, I'd recommend 1920 by 1080, but it might be entirely different on different platforms. For example, something like Dribble uses 1600 by 1200. That's just a perfect example of how these things change, and it's worth looking into basically to make sure that this image, or this GIF should I say, is going to show up in its best light. Another thing to bear in mind is if there are any Instagram users, you cannot post GIFs to Instagram. You can, however, post videos, and there's another great feature within Photoshop that allows you to create videos, which I'm assuming you probably don't know about. So if you want to know more about how to create videos through Photoshop, let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you drop a like on this video, and I'll be sure to make a video on how to make videos within Photoshop in the future, because it's really simple to do. It's a little bit easier to do compared to GIFs. So if you do want to know how to create a video through Photoshop, let me know in the comments, drop a like, and I'll be sure to do that in the future, probably in the next video if you guys want to see it. So second thing to do, now that you've got your canvas set up, is upload any images you want to use into Photoshop and then drag them or copy and paste them within the artboard that you're using, so that they basically create their own layers within the layers panel. So as you can see in my layers panel, I've got loads of different images set up, and they're all in their individual layers, which you'll need in place in order to show basically which image you want to show within the animation, because we're going to be separating each layer into its own individual frame. Once you've got that set up, go to Window, Timeline, and now we're ready to jump into the GIF settings. So you should see Create Frame Animation right in the center of this timeline. If you don't see it, click on the drop down icon and select it from these two selections. You've got obviously Create Video Timeline or Create Frame Animation. So you want Create Frame Animation for the purposes of this video. Press on the Create Frame Animation button and you'll see timeline changes, and you've got basically a preview of either the top layer within your layers panel or the only visible layer, which is basically what's shown for me, because I've only got one layer. I've got two layers, technically, the background and this first layer that are visible. I would recommend doing what I've done. So every image that you don't want shown on the first frame of the animation, hide. And you can do that by basically any layer that's got an eye icon. So for example, this top one, if you click on it, it'll hide it essentially. And the same goes if you want to make it visible, you click on it again, the eye icon will appear, and that's an indication to let you know that that layer is now visible. So just go ahead, hide the different layers that you don't want shown at first, and as we go through the different frames, we're just going to go through and enable them and disable certain layers to make sure that the right ones are shown between the different frames. Once you've got that set up, click on the plus icon, that will create a new frame, and then we're going to go over to the next layer that we want shown. So whichever image you want to be shown next after the first frame, enable it. So I'm going to disable the first one that I shown, enable the second one, and then we're going to do the same process for the rest of them. So just bear with me, I'm going to run through that now. So create a new frame, go over to whichever one you want shown now, make sure it's visible, make sure the rest is still disabled, and then just keep going through them until you've basically done all of the different images that you want in the animation. So mine was really simple. yours might be a little bit more difficult. You might have loads of images going on, so just be a little bit patient with it. It's not that difficult to do. Once you've done it, you don't have to mess about with anything else. And also, if you want to rearrange stuff, you can simply just drag and drop different layers into, you know, the different frames or whichever order you want them in. So I can drag frame 6 and I can put it in as number 2, for example. I don't want it in that order, so I'm going to drag it back, but that's just to show you how simple things are. So you'll notice that there's a little there's a playback button here, and you can use that to test the duration between each frame. If I press play now, you'll notice that everything is super fast because there's 0 seconds between each frame, so it will just show it immediately. So if I press play, you can see it just spins round super fast, and that is way too fast for us. So I'm going to press stop, and what we want to do is, if it's the same case for you, if it's at 0 seconds, you're probably not going to want it at 0 seconds because it's hard to follow. So if you want to change the duration of your frames, click on the first one, hold shift, click on the last one, and then next to where it says 0 seconds, you'll notice a drop down. If you click on that, then you can change it to any of the presets, so 0.2, 0.5, 1, and so on. I'm going to test out 1, see how that looks, because 1 second between each frame is a reasonable amount of time. I might need to tweak that a little bit, but if I do, I can always do that after watching the preview. So watch this through. It's a little bit time between each of them. It's still a little bit too fast, I reckon. So I'm going to change that up to a custom time. So again, select the first frame, then select the last one by holding shift, go over to your time settings or the duration settings, and you can set a custom duration by going over to other. And I'm just going to put mine up just a little bit. So I'm going to change mine to 1.5 seconds and then press OK. And as you can see, it's changed every single frame to 1.5 seconds. So if I press play again, that's a little bit more time between the slides. I think that's a bit better than before. And to be honest, I'm probably happy with that. It's enough time to go through the different slides, and if it's on Twitter, they can always pause it and they have enough time to actually pause it. Whereas before, obviously, it was just running through the frames at a ridiculous speed. So that's all good with me. If you do want to play around with the times, just feel free to continue doing this before saving everything. But if you're ready and you're good to go, all you need to do now is press Control, Alt, Shift and S. That'll bring up the export window. By default, it'll probably be at PNG or JPEG. You just want to click down on the drop down menu, go over to GIF, and all the settings should be fine. You shouldn't need to mess around with any of these. But one thing to bear in mind is the size of the actual GIF. So you'll notice in this corner it says 1.691 megabytes. So that's the actual size of the file once it's saved. Twitter, I believe, is a maximum of 2 meg. It might be 1 megabyte. I might have got that completely wrong. And if it is, what I'll need to do is reduce either the colors or the actual size of the image just to make that file size a little bit smaller. So if that is the case, you might need to just tweak some of these settings, tweak the colors a little bit, just to reduce some of the colors that are shown, and that should reduce the file size when you do that. It's really as simple as that, guys. So please do have a play around with this. I really do love the fact that you can create animated GIFs within Photoshop, because it makes showcasing logos, brand collateral, brand identity, that sort of thing. It makes it so much better than just showcasing a static image. So you can really get creative with this. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop a like on it. And again, if you want to see how to create a video through Photoshop for the purpose of Instagram, maybe you want to create an Instagram post or an Instagram story post, let me know in the comments section below, and I'd love to make a video on that if you guys want to see it. So thank you guys for watching. I really do hope you like this sweet short tutorial, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.